The story begins aboard the Galactic Council's flagship, where representatives from across the galaxy gather for their centennial meeting. Humans, relatively new to the galactic community, are represented by Ambassador James Miller, a seemingly mild-mannered diplomat who appears physically frail compared to the other species. The Council has labeled Earth as a death world due to its harsh conditions, but they've allowed humans to join mainly out of pity and amusement. Other species see humans as weak creatures who somehow survived their brutal planet through luck and primitive technology. The Council members often exchange knowing glances when humans speak of peace and cooperation, believing them to be putting on a brave face to hide their species' obvious limitations. During the meeting, a crisis erupts. The Ravager Pirates, a notorious criminal organization, launches a surprise attack on the Council station. The pirates, led by the fearsome Captain Drac, have chosen this moment to eliminate the galaxy's leadership in one swift strike. As chaos erupts and the station's defenses falter, the various alien representatives panic, their supposed superiority crumbling in the face of real danger. Ambassador Miller remains unusually calm. He excuses himself quietly, speaking into what appears to be a primitive communication device on his wrist. The other representatives barely notice his departure, too busy arguing about evacuation protocols and trying to contact their homeworlds for help. Minutes later, the station's sensors detect multiple ships emerging from hyperspace. The Council aliens expect reinforcements from their advanced civilizations. Instead, they witness the arrival of human warships, vessels that look nothing like the primitive trading ships humans had been using for the past decade. The human ships move with impossible speed and precision, their hulls adorned with scars from countless battles no one in the Council knew about. The facade of human weakness begins to crack, and the galaxy's most powerful beings watch in stunned silence as they realize just how much humanity had been holding back. Part 1 ends with Ambassador Miller's return to the Council chamber, his entire demeanor transformed. Gone is the stooping posture and apologetic manner. He stands tall, his eyes reflecting the hardened experience of a species that truly mastered survival on a death world. With a slight smile, he addresses the shocked Council. Now then, shall we show you how Deathworlders really handle pirates? The human warships move with lethal grace through the void of space, their true forms finally unveiled. Gone are the clumsy merchant vessel disguises, replaced by sleek predators of the cosmos. The lead ship, the HSS Nighthawk, takes point in the formation, its hull gleaming with what the alien Council members now recognize as advanced metamaterial armor, not the primitive metals they'd assumed humans relied upon. Captain Linda Reed stands on the Nighthawk's bridge, her posture relaxed but alert, the stance of a predator ready to strike. The bridge crew operates with practiced efficiency, their movements precise and coordinated, showing years of training that had been carefully hidden from galactic observation. Multiple hostile contacts, Captain, announces the tactical officer, Tom Wilson. 35 Ravager ships, including their flagship. A small smile plays across Reed's lips. For years, humanity had watched these pirates terrorize peaceful worlds, gathering intel while maintaining their helpless facade. Now, finally, they could act. Deploy the Phantom Protocol, Reed orders, her voice carrying the weight of authority that comes from commanding one of Earth's finest warships. The alien Council members, watching through their station's observation windows, gasp as the human vessels seemingly split apart. What they'd thought were simple support structures on the ship's hulls unfold into arrays of advanced weapon systems. The transformation is complete in seconds, revealing vessels bristling with technology that shouldn't exist according to humanity's official development records. Captain Drac's voice booms across all communication channels, his initial confidence wavering slightly at the unexpected development. What trickery is this? These are not the human ships we know. Ambassador Miller's voice replies across the same channel, calm and measured, that's because you never knew the real ones, Captain. Humanity has been watching, waiting, and preparing. Today, you learn why Earth is called a death world. The battle that follows is unlike anything the galaxy has ever witnessed. The human ships move in perfect formation, using maneuvers that seem to bend the laws of physics. Their weapons fire with pinpoint accuracy, targeting the pirates' critical systems with surgical precision. The advanced shields that had made the Ravagers nearly invincible against other species' weapons flicker and fail against concentrated human attacks. In the council chamber, the alien representatives watch in stunned silence as their fundamental understanding of humanity crumbles. The High Counselor, a being from an ancient species, turns to Miller. How long have you possessed these capabilities? Miller's response is diplomatic but carries an edge of steel. We've had centuries to perfect our art of war on Earth. Did you truly believe we survived a death world through luck alone? The battle outside continues, but it's clear it's no longer a battle, it's a demonstration. The human ships methodically disable the pirate vessels, their efficiency speaking of countless hours of training and preparation. When they capture Captain Drax's flagship, they do so without destroying it, showing a level of tactical control that few species possess. The final moments of the engagement are perhaps the most revealing. As the remaining pirate ships attempt to flee, they discover another truth about humanity. The space around the station is filled with previously invisible human sensor buoys, creating a containment net that had been in place for months, waiting for just such an occasion. Part 2 ends with Captain Reed transmitting a simple message to the Council station: area secured. Ambassador Miller, you may proceed with diplomatic discussions. We'll handle the cleanup. Her words carry an underlying message that everyone in the Council chamber understands: humanity had been ready for this moment long before the pirates arrived. In the Council chamber, the alien representatives begin to realize that every diplomatic concession humans had accepted, every seemingly primitive solution they'd employed, had been part of an elaborate masquerade. They hadn't been dealing with survivors of a harsh world who barely made it to the stars, they had been dealing with a species that had mastered both their death world and the art of strategic deception. In the aftermath of the battle, humanity's true face emerges not just through military might, but through the methodical efficiency of their response to the crisis. Marines from the HSS Nighthawk, clad in powered armor that had been disguised as bulky environmental suits for years, board the captured pirate vessels. Their movements are precise, each step calculated, showing years of training in zero-gravity combat. Commander Jack Porter leads the boarding party on the pirate flagship. The aliens watch in amazement as the humans move through the ship without referring to maps. They already know every corridor and junction. Years of playing the role of easy targets had given them unprecedented access to pirate vessel layouts, all under the guise of being helpless victims. Security teams, mark and tag, Porter orders through his comm system. Remember, this is no longer just a capture mission. This is humanity's introduction to the galaxy. Make it count. In the Council chamber, Ambassador Miller begins revealing the extent of human intelligence gathering. Holographic displays spring to life around him, showing detailed maps of pirate operations throughout the galaxy. Each raid, each hidden base, each secret alliance, all meticulously documented while humanity played the part of an uninformed newcomer to galactic society. For 10 years, Miller explains to the stunned Council, we've been building this database. Every time pirates attacked our helpless ships, we were tracking them. Every time we paid their ransoms without resistance, we were planting untraceable markers. Every time we begged for help, we were identifying their collaborators. The High Counselor, still struggling to process the revelations, asks, why maintain such an elaborate deception? Miller's response is both diplomatic and chilling, because, honored Counselor, we learned long ago on Earth that the most dangerous position is one where your enemies know your true capabilities. We chose to be underestimated. It's a strategy that served us well during our own world wars. Meanwhile, on the captured pirate flagship, Commander Porter's team makes another significant discovery. Captain Drax's personal logs reveal connections to several supposedly legitimate galactic trading corporations, corporations that some council members have private investments in. Send everything to analysis, Porter commands. Let's show them how humans really handle corruption. The revelation sends shockwaves through the council. Some representatives shift uncomfortably in their seats as they realize that humanity hasn't just been gathering intelligence on pirates, they've been mapping the entire network of galactic corruption, all while playing the role of naive newcomers. Captain Reed's voice comes through on the council chamber's comm system. Ambassador, initial sweeps confirm our suspicions. Shall we proceed with Operation Clean Slate? Miller looks around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each council member. Operation Clean Slate is authorized. Execute with full transparency to our galactic allies. The emphasis on allies carries a clear message: cooperation with humanity's anti-corruption efforts would be remembered, and so would resistance. As if orchestrated, and it was, human ships across the galaxy spring into action at that exact moment. Vessels that had been posing as simple merchant ships transform into military platforms. Hidden defense systems activate around human space stations. The galaxy watches as humanity's carefully crafted mask of weakness falls away completely, revealing a species that had been playing a long game of strategic deception. Part 3 ends with Commander Porter discovering something in the pirate captain's personal quarters, a detailed contingency plan for an invasion of Earth, based on all the weaknesses humans had pretended to have. He allows himself a small smile as he transmits the file to Miller. The ambassador receives it during a council session, and his quiet chuckle sends chills down the spines of the assembled representatives. The galaxy is beginning to understand a fundamental truth about humanity: on a death world, nothing survives without mastering the art of survival. And humans? They had mastered it so well that they turned it into an art of deception. 2 days after the pirate incident, the Galactic Council convenes an emergency session. The chamber, once a place where humans were barely tolerated, now holds a different kind of tension. Ambassador Miller stands at the central podium, ready to explain what the galaxy has been asking since the revelation: why? The chamber's holographic systems, previously thought to be state-of-the-art, have been quietly upgraded by human technicians. The display quality is noticeably superior as Miller begins his presentation. Let me tell you a story about Earth, he begins, as three-dimensional images of humanity's homeworld materialize around the chamber. What you see as a death world, we call home. Where you see brutal gravity, we see the force that gave us our strength. Where you see deadly predators, we see the teachers that taught us vigilance. The images shift to show Earth's history, not the sanitized version humanity had previously shared, but the real one. Wars, innovations, triumphs, and disasters all flash by, telling the story of a species forged in adversity. We didn't survive Earth by luck, Miller continues. We survived because we learned. Every predator taught us to be better predators. Every disaster taught us to be more prepared. Every war taught us the value of peace, and the necessity of strength to maintain it. Admiral Mark Roberts, newly arrived from Earth Command, steps forward. His presence here, the first time a human military commander has openly attended a council session, carries its own message. When we first encountered your civilizations, Roberts explains, we recognized a pattern we'd seen in our own history. Powerful civilizations, comfortable in their superiority, unable to imagine that someone could be hiding their true capabilities. The holograms now show the first contact scenarios, but from the human perspective. Every awkward diplomatic fumble had been calculated. Every seemingly primitive human ship had been a masterpiece of concealment. We chose deception not out of malice, Miller resumes, but out of prudence. Our history taught us that revealing too much power too quickly leads to conflict. We wanted to join the galactic community, but we needed to understand it first. To know its corruptions, its strengths, its weaknesses. A council member from a warrior species interrupts, "You played us for fools." Miller's response is gentle but firm, "No. We played ourselves as fools. There's a difference. Every weakness we showed was merely a shadow of our strength. Every time we accepted help, we were offering you the chance to prove yourselves allies. The images shift again, showing the extensive network of human operations throughout the galaxy. Hidden bases that looked like primitive research outposts. Advanced manufacturing facilities concealed within what appeared to be basic mining operations. A web of surveillance and preparation that had been invisible until now. Admiral Roberts steps forward again. What you're seeing is Operation Looking Glass. For 10 years, we've been preparing for every possible scenario, from full-scale war to peaceful integration. We hoped for the best but prepared for the worst. It's what Deathworlders do. The chamber falls silent as the implications sink in. Humanity hadn't just hidden their military might, they had embedded themselves so deeply into galactic society that disentangling them would be impossible. And now, Miller concludes, we offer truth. Not because we were forced to, but because you've earned it. The pirate attack proved something to us. When crisis came, most of you didn't turn against us. You showed concern for our safety, even thinking we were weak. That tells us more about your character than any diplomatic treaty. The presentation ends with a final image, Earth, as it truly is. Not the primitive death world of galactic imagination, but a thriving, advanced civilization that had turned its harsh cradle into a testament to perseverance. Part 4 ends with Miller extending an invitation. We invite you all to visit Earth. Not the Earth we pretended to have, but the real one. It's time you saw what a death world species can really build when they put their minds to it. The council chamber erupts in excited discussion. Some representatives look afraid, others intrigued, but all of them finally understanding, they had never been dealing with survivors of a death world, they had been dealing with its masters. The news spreads across the galaxy like a supernova's shockwave. On thousands of worlds, beings gather around communication hubs, watching and rewatching the footage of human ships decimating the notorious Ravager fleet. In bars, homes, and public spaces, the same questions echo: how did we not see it? What else are they hiding? On the trading world of Proxima Hub, the largest non-Earth commercial center in the sector, human merchants who had played the role of simple traders for years stand a little straighter now. Their outdated ships suddenly sport previously hidden modifications, and their primitive defense systems reveal themselves to be cutting-edge technology. Thomas Green, a human trader who had spent years pretending his ship could barely make interstellar jumps, sits at a crowded alien bar. The same patrons who used to dismiss him now maintain a respectful distance. He sips his drink, remembering all the times he'd played the part of an inexperienced spacer, all while gathering intelligence for Earth Command. Fascinating, isn't it? He says to the bartender, a being who'd often joked about human weakness. How appearances can deceive. The bartender just nods nervously and moves away. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council's military division, analysts pore over the combat footage from the pirate battle. General Emma Stone, Earth's newly appointed military liaison, watches them with barely concealed amusement as they discover layer after layer of human military capabilities. Your stealth systems, one alien admiral admits, we can't even detect them when we know they're there. Stone's response is diplomatic but carries an edge. That's rather the point of stealth, isn't it? Across the galaxy, different species react in different ways. The warrior races express a mixture of respect and concern, finally recognizing humans as worthy opponents. The trade-focused species scramble to re-evaluate their contracts, realizing that humans had been playing economic games as masterfully as military ones. The academic worlds face a crisis as they realize that generations of research about humans need to be rewritten. Professor Alan Wright, a human anthropologist who had been studying alien cultures while allowing them to study humans, presents a controversial paper titled The Observer Effect: How Alien Studies of Humanity Revealed More About the Observers Than the Observed. On Earth itself, the mood is one of relief. The burden of pretense lifts as humans finally display their true level of advancement. Parks that seemed like simple green spaces reveal themselves as technological marvels of environmental engineering. Buildings that appeared primitive now showcase their true capabilities, their surfaces shimmering with advanced materials that had been disguised as simple concrete and steel. In orbit around Earth, the planet's real defense grid activates for the first time. Satellites that had appeared to be weather monitoring stations transform into a network of defensive platforms that make Earth's orbit one of the most secure locations in the galaxy. Captain Reed, now stationed at Earth's main orbital command, receives countless messages from alien military leaders seeking training arrangements, technology exchanges, and defense pacts. She forwards them all to diplomatic channels with a simple note: "Careful what you wish for." The Galactic Council establishes a new committee to re-evaluate all their previous assessments of primitive species. The chairperson, in a moment of clarity, notes, "If we were this wrong about humans, who else have we underestimated?" Part 5 ends with a scene in a small Earth classroom, where a teacher explains to her students why they can finally stop pretending their tablets are simple touchscreens when alien visitors come by. One child raises her hand and asks, "Does this mean we can show them our real toys now?" The teacher smiles, looking at the simple wooden blocks that are actually advanced learning tools capable of teaching quantum mechanics to kindergartners. "Yes," she answers, "it's time to show the galaxy who we really are." The galaxy learns a crucial lesson: appearances aren't just deceiving, sometimes they're meant to deceive. And humanity, the supposed primitive Deathworlders, had orchestrated the greatest deception of all. 1 month after humanity's revelation, the galaxy's political landscape has shifted dramatically. The Galactic Council chamber, once dominated by ancient species who claimed superiority through their long histories, now centers around the human delegation. Not because humans demanded it, but because reality demanded it. Ambassador Miller stands before the council, presenting Earth's proposal for a reformed galactic security framework. Behind him, holograms display the new joint defense initiative that would protect trade routes and civilian populations from threats like the now-defunct Ravager pirates. "We don't seek to rule," Miller explains, his voice carrying across the chamber. "We seek to cooperate. But cooperation must be based on truth, not pretense." The High Counselor, who had once dismissed humans as primitive Deathworlders, now leans forward with keen interest. The defense plan humanity proposes isn't just sophisticated, it's revolutionary. It incorporates technologies that humans had possessed for years but kept hidden, waiting for the right moment to share them. In orbit around key trading worlds, human ships now openly patrol alongside alien vessels. Captain Reed's Nighthawk leads a joint training exercise, teaching alien crews battle tactics that humans had perfected over centuries of warfare on Earth. The alien commanders are shocked to learn that what they considered advanced combat maneuvers are merely basic training for human pilots. "Your species treats space combat like an ocean battle," Reed explains to her alien counterparts during a briefing. "We treat it like a jungle fight, because that's what we learned on Earth. Every direction is a potential threat or opportunity." On the economic front, human corporations finally reveal their true market influence. What appeared to be small, struggling companies turn out to be parts of vast networks that had been quietly shaping galactic trade for years. Robert Kane, CEO of what had seemed to be a minor shipping company, reveals that his corporation had been using quantum prediction algorithms to stabilize galactic markets during crises, all while pretending to barely understand basic economics. "We didn't just hide our military strength," Kane explains to a summit of galactic business leaders. "We hid our understanding of mathematics, physics, psychology, everything that gives us an edge. Now we can share that edge." The academic community undergoes its own revolution. Universities across Earth open their real research departments to alien scholars. Professor Wright leads the first tour of Earth's premier research facility, enjoying the stunned expressions of alien scientists as they realized that humans hadn't been struggling to understand advanced concepts, they had been advancing them in secret. This laboratory, Wright gestures to what had been disguised as a simple physics department, has been working on dimensional physics for 50 years. We just kept the good stuff in the basement. But perhaps the most significant change comes in how the galaxy views Earth itself. Tourist ships, now allowed to approach Earth without the previous restrictions, witness the planet's true face. The supposedly primitive human homeworld reveals itself as a masterwork of planetary engineering. Vast cities showcase architecture that seamlessly blends with nature, powered by technologies that had been carefully hidden from prying eyes. Admiral Roberts oversees the installation of Earth's new planetary defense grid, no longer hiding its capabilities behind false sensor readings and camouflage. "We've lived in the shadows long enough," he announces at the commissioning ceremony. "It's time to step into the light." Part 6 ends with a scene in the council chamber's private meeting room, where Miller meets with the High Counselor. The alien leader, having finally grasped the full scope of human capability, asks the question that's been bothering them all: if you had all this power, why wait? Why not take control from the beginning? Miller's response encapsulates humanity's philosophy: because power isn't about what you can take. It's about what you can build. We didn't want to conquer the galaxy, we wanted to understand it. Now that we do, we can help build something better than either of us could create alone. The High Counselor nods slowly, finally understanding that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their hidden technology or military might, it was their patience in revealing it. 6 months after humanity's revelation, the galaxy has entered a new age. The old power structures have been replaced by something more complex, more balanced, and ultimately more honest. Earth, once dismissed as a primitive death world, has become a symbol of hidden potential and careful planning. The Galactic University on Earth opens its doors for the first interspecies graduation ceremony. Students from across the galaxy, who had come to study what they thought was basic human science, now graduate with degrees in advanced fields that humanity had mastered centuries ago. Professor Wright stands at the podium, addressing the first class of this new era. "Today marks not just your graduation," he announces to the mixed crowd of humans and aliens, "but the graduation of our entire civilization. We've moved beyond pretense to truth, beyond fear to understanding." In orbit, the former Ravager pirate fleet's ships, now repurposed and upgraded with revealed human technology, patrol trade routes under joint command. Captain Reed watches from the Nighthawk's bridge as alien crews execute maneuvers that would have been impossible for them 6 months ago. "They learn quickly," she remarks to her first officer, "once they stop underestimating themselves." The Galactic Council has undergone its own transformation. The chamber, once a place of political posturing and hidden agendas, has become a forum for genuine cooperation. Ambassador Miller, now serving as the head of the newly formed Interspecies Cooperation Initiative, leads a session on sharing technological advances between worlds. "The greatest technology humans possessed," Miller explains to the assembly, "wasn't our ships or our weapons. It was our ability to learn from everything, even our mistakes. Especially our mistakes. On Earth, the changes are even more profound. Cities that had masked their true nature for a decade now shine with their full technological glory. The primitive, environmental suits that humans wore on alien worlds are revealed as advanced biomechanical interfaces, capable of adapting to any environment." Robert Kane, speaking at a Galactic Economic Forum, unveils the true scope of human economic theory, mathematical models that had predicted and quietly prevented 3 major galactic recessions during the years of pretense. "We didn't just hide our strength," Kane explains, "we used it. Every economic crisis we prevented, every market we stabilized, it was all part of protecting not just human interests, but galactic stability." Admiral Roberts, overseeing the integration of human and alien defense forces, receives a report that would have been unthinkable months ago: the first joint human-alien deep space expedition is ready to launch. The mission will use human FTL technology that makes current galactic drives look primitive in comparison. "We're not just sharing technology," Roberts tells the crew, we're sharing a vision of what's possible when species work together honestly. But perhaps the most significant change comes from the younger generations. In schools across the galaxy, children of different species learn together, free from the prejudices and assumptions that had divided their parents. The term Deathworlder has evolved from an insult to a mark of respect, recognition that harsh conditions breed not just strength, but wisdom. The story ends where it began, in the council chamber. The High Counselor stands before the assembly, making an unprecedented announcement: we've discovered another civilization, emerging from what we would have called a death world. Our old protocols would have had us treat them as primitives to be pitted. Instead, we will approach them as equals, remembering the lesson humanity taught us. Ambassador Miller, sitting in the audience, smiles slightly. Humanity's greatest deception had led to the galaxy's greatest truth, that no species should be judged by appearances, and that strength comes in many forms. As the council session ends, a young alien child approaches Miller. Is it true, the child asks, that humans knew everything all along? Miller kneels down to the child's level. Not everything, he responds. But we knew the most important thing, that sometimes the best way to teach is to let others discover the truth for themselves. The galaxy has changed forever. The age of deception has ended, replaced by an era of genuine cooperation. Humanity, the supposed primitives from a death world, had orchestrated not just a revelation of power, but a revolution of understanding. As night falls on Earth, the planet's true defense grid illuminates the sky with a spectacular display of power and beauty, a reminder that strength doesn't need to be hidden anymore, and that the greatest power lies not in deception, but in the wisdom to know when to end it.